Hello, beautiful, curious, and creatives. Welcome. It is Monday and I want to make something. Last week I was having a little bit of a play making some rust effects or creating some rust effects on some loose pieces of wood chip things that I had here, and I loved the results and I wanted to share that with you. So if you are into this is something that appeals to you. These are those little, like I said, wood or pressed wood shapes. And look at these beautiful rust effect that they have. This is the back. This is the front. I mean, this is just gorgeous. Very satisfying. It is very messy, but it is very satisfying. And here is a letter A. And these are the shapes that I'm talking about. This is what they look like. You know, I guess this may actually be chipboard. This is the pressed wood. This is also the pressed wood. And you probably have similar things to these at home. I'm going to show you, and it only requires things that you very likely have in your craft space. The first thing would be the shades of paint, and these are the ones that I used for all the pieces that I showed you. Of course, you can darken, you can lighten as you go, but these are the three that I used. And so this one is a red oxide by Liquitex. This one is Shuttle Art, and it's a cadmium orange. And this is just a satin black by Deco Art. I don't really go by names. I kind of looked at, you know, what I had in my supply box for the shades, and I felt like, you know, these would be good to mix. This, you know, to accentuate the rust effect, and this as a background with the black, and that's what I went with. If your shades are a little different and your preference is a little different, of course, that's what, you know, that's what you should go for. PVA glue, I have Elmer's Glue All, and that's what I'm going to use because that's what I have on hand. And I keep this upstairs here in my studio, some ground cinnamon, and this is going to be for texture. Okay, I have a little pouncy spongy thing. This is the one that I was using just to, you know, incorporate the paint into my substrates. And these cups, I've used them before and I love them. I get these at Dollar Tree. I'll put a little glue here, and then I'll put a little cinnamon here. And I have this little scoopy things that I use to just, you know, pick up the cinnamon. I will, you know, just pour some glue in here, and that's what I will use. The other thing that you do need is a brush. The bristles are not even, and that's what I like to continue to apply or to give it texture. If you don't have this, then use whatever brush you have in hand. It will work just as well. And the last thing, which I know is not necessarily a very common item in everybody's supply stash, but I did use it, so I'm going to mention it, is this Elmer spray adhesive. And this is what gives this little bit of shine on my substrate, or to my substrate. So if you prefer a matte finish, then this is not necessary. I don't like to use the shine evenly on the surface, so I just gently spray a couple of spots, and because it goes, you know, all over the place, it'll spray it a little bit. But this is an option. And of course I have my splatter box, because when I use this, it goes all over the place. So I'm very cautious to try to contain it. So again, this is optional. but it is what I've used, so I just wanted to mention. I put my very loved Martha Stewart mat here because, and I taped it in place because I like to put my paints on my table. I don't use, you know, I don't use those little trays. So I dab from there, then I do the cleanup, and that is that. So I want this the same place just so it doesn't go all over the place. My paints don't go all over the place, and I'm going to just apply my colors right here. If you don't have one of these pouncy things, you can use a sponge or even a paper towel or a brush. This is just to incorporate your paint onto your substrate. So we'll do a couple just to show you that you can use different substrates. This is the, you know, the chipboard. This is chipboard. I don't know what I said it was before, but it's chipboard. And initially I'll start with, you know, these two colors, and you know, we're willy-nilly here. So I combine them both on my sponge and get them on my substrate. If you are looking to give your substrate a lighter background, then you use different colors, right? I'm going for that dark grunge rust effect, so I'm starting dark, and so it's kind of looking a little rusty, but not quite rusted, right? So it's giving a little age, whatever. It's gonna dry for a little bit, so I'm gonna set it here. Actually, before I do that, I am going to drizzle on the cinnamon, okay? This you can apply strategically if you want. I don't bother so much because once I go over it, it's going to move. But if you feel that, you know, you want to apply it strategically in certain places, go for it. So this is what it looks like. It's wherever, whatever. I'm gonna leave it there. And then I'm going to go for another piece. So this is the press wood or whatever this is, I don't know. So we're gonna work on this one, and I'm going to give it the background color. That way, you know, I can work on one while my first one dries, and we can do a couple. And I don't mean to speed craft, but I just want to show you that this can be, you know, a simple enough process, and it doesn't require, you know, doesn't have to take so much time, but it does get a little messy. So let's try this one, and then let's make one of these. These definitely get the messiest because I kind of go in there to, you know, to even out the color. And then when we do the top, it also gets, you know, so this requires a little drying time and then more work. So I want to blend my base color, and remember, your base color can be whatever it is you want your substrate to give as the original shade, right? So I'm going to put this one on the side to dry. Actually, I kind of clip it. Let me just show you. I kind of clip it on there because it stands well, and, you know, it can dry. So let me move this over. And let's do the butterfly. Let's do one with a dark color already. This is how it is originally, the shade. So let's work on this one. The pin, if you noticed, I didn't put the cinnamon on it because I forgot. So let me do that. It may actually even fall a little bit because that one doesn't lay flat to dry, but that's okay. All right. And now this one, let's do a little cinnamon on that for texture. Okay. And we're gonna go here to dry. So let's go back to our original one. The cinnamon is on there. I'm gonna leave it the way I sprinkled it. And I am going to take my brush, my stipple brush, and I am going to dip into my glue. And I don't dilute this or anything. I just leave it in the consistency that it comes in. And I am going to dab again, but now with the glue on the cinnamon. And I don't want globs of glue, though I am okay, and I understand that it's going to be a little thick, the glue itself, but I don't want globs of it. So you want to dab it so there is texture, but not clumps and globs of it. Okay, and I'll show you like what the difference would be. So that would be a glob, right? Too thick. But if we keep working it, we can make it a little less thick. Okay. And that's about right there. See, you can see through the glue a little bit, but you know that there is glue there and you see texture. We want that texture. The glue and the cinnamon are creating that beautiful texture that we're going to get as part of that rust effect. Okay. That's looking about right to me. You see the texture right there? That's perfect. Ideally, you want to set this to dry on its own, right? You want it to absorb, you want it to set and dry at its own pace. I am going to help it with the heat tool because I like to get the video done for you guys today. Otherwise, it'll be, you know, Wednesday and then the video will be up. So I am going to give it a little more time on its own, but then I am going to assist with the heat tool. And so we're doing the same here with the texture, the cinnamon. Look at that. Love it. That is perfect. And I have to say, it smells so good, of course. The pin was the next one. So let's do the pin. And the pin, again, I'm going to have to do in different parts because I have to do the top of the pin, and then I'm going to need to do the inside of the pin, which I will only apply paint to when my pin is done. That's how I've done the other ones. Just so you don't see, you know, that unfinished wood in there. That way it looks more authentic and more uniform, more cohesive. And I did tell you in the beginning that this was messy. A very tactile maker so I do not use gloves. If this is not your jam, put your gloves on, because it's messy. It's messy. I don't mind it, but I know that not everyone enjoys having, you know, globs of glue and paint and everything else on their hands. So let's do the butterfly, and because we're kind of working assembly line style, we'll then go to our square and move on to the next step. I'm going to give this an assist with the heat tool, and probably the other pieces as well, and then we'll come back. I've used my embossing heat tool to dry this because I feel that it's the hottest. And as I dry, it turns my wet glue surface matte, and that's how I know that it's, you know, that it's drying. So I just finished giving this one an assist, right? And this is one that's still wet, right? So we want it to look like this. When I touch it, I'm feeling the rough surface, but it feels dry. My finger's not getting stuck on it. It's not 100% dry, but it's drier. And that's what we want right now. So I'm gonna continue to dry the other ones with this. Notice how this one has some bubbles, and that's perfectly fine. If you're drying the glue and you get that effect, no worries. That is perfectly fine. Our 4 pieces are, you know, dry enough that my hands are not getting stuck to them. This is a little warped because it's a softer surface, but I'm not worried about it. I'm going to finish working on it, and then if I want to straighten it a little better, once it's all dry and finished, I can do that. I'm not concerned with that right now. Right now, what I would like to do is I would like to take a little bit of a sponge. Let's take a little bit of you know, something else to use this color, which for me is going to be my rust color. So whatever rust color you have decided on, I suggest you use a different applicator. So these are the bubbles that kind of formed from the glue. Love them because this I use as a guide, and it'll tell me where I want to apply that rust, just because they're random, they're organic, and you know, use them up. So I am going to dab where those are. And like I said, use them to my advantage. You can dab your rust anywhere you want, of course. That's just my preference. You know, it's also my way of not worrying so much about marks that I've gotten on my substrate, you know, maybe glue that hasn't dried properly, whatever. And again, use them to my advantage. This is what it looks like. I actually like this. It's a little lighter than I would have thought. If I wanted to darken this, which I don't necessarily want to, but I'm going to do it just because I want to play with you guys and show you that you have options. I can go into my black a little bit, you know, just kind of very gently leave some in there, And then I can always just apply over and mute it a little bit if it's a little too dark for me, right? Or too bright for me, rather. If that orange or rust finish is too bright for me, there, I have just muted it. And I have to tell you, I love the way this looks. I'm not gonna do anything else to it. My surface is giving the color contrast that I want. And I'm gonna let it dry like this, okay? So I'm gonna put it to the side. I'm going to look at this one, and again, I see those bubbles and that clumpy type of glue that's dried. I love how organic that looks, but I know that that's glue, so I don't want to leave it like that. So I am going to go in with my rust color and cover it. At this point, you could even, you know, mix in another color for your rust, for your last, you know, contrast. It's entirely up to you. Like I said, I had played with these when I made the ones that I showed you in the beginning, and I was happy with that combination. So I stuck to what I know was pleasing to me and what worked when I tried this last week. So it's not to say that in the future, if I try this, I may, you know, opt for different color combinations. I don't know. If I feel like playing and experimenting, I certainly can. But I really liked the way, you know, they turned out, so I'm gonna stick to them. Those colors are fine. And this is what this is looking like. Very rusty looking. Again, I can just dab into my black. I'm doing it with, you know, the other little piece of that, and I can mute that, and it is giving me that gorgeous dark grungy rusty finish. At some point I will go around the edges, right, so my piece looks finished. And this I typically do when they're all dry, and then I will also do the back, okay? And I will do it with that color. And here's an example of what the back looks like. So I will just paint it. I don't do the rust effect or anything like that. This was my front. This is the original piece that I showed you that I worked on last week. And then I just take my little pouncy sponge and just paint the back, just so it looks finished. So I will do that to these when I'm done. But, you know, just to show you that you can, you know, do the edges. Oops. You can do the edges, and then eventually, you know, if you want to do the back, you do the back. I don't know what I'm going to use these for, so I just finished the back just in case. But chances are that I will put them on a page, most likely on the cover of a journal or a card or something like that. They're not super thick, so they can go inside your book nicely, but the options are endless. Okay, so I'm going to leave this like this. I like the contrast, the rust effect. That's good for me. I'm going to put it on the side. And now I am going to work on my pen. Let me grab some rusty color and just dab. You know, this is the kind of thing that if you end up getting it on your hands, if you know you touch it, and it doesn't matter, because it's supposed to be such an organic finish that if you have a little bit of a, you know, a handprint or, you know, a dab of something, it doesn't really matter to me anyway, just because it's, you know, it's a rough it's a rough surface and a rough finish. So that's what this looks like. I'm going to do this top part now because I feel that, you know, the pan itself is dry enough, and that way we can see it done. I'm not gonna do the cinnamon and the other stuff because, and the glue, because I don't need to do it. I'm fine with it like that, as long as the color is finished. I am going to, you know, tie a ribbon around this at some point, so I'm not very concerned about that. And the other thing that I do need to do for this is to paint inside. So let me just do that while I'm with you. Not that you need to see me doing that, because I know you know how to do this. And basically it's, you know, I will take a thin paintbrush and literally just, you know, go in there and paint the wood, just so it looks finished. Okay, and that's good enough for me. So I'm gonna set it aside here to dry and then work on the butterfly, which is the last one. Pretty funny that I'm only making 4 with you, because you know I like to work with odd numbers, but that's what I happen to have on my table, so that's what we went with. And this looks good to me. What I'm going to do now is do a little bit of spraying of that of the spray adhesive, and hopefully you can see the difference. So no spray yet. I am going to just take my Elmer spray adhesive. I'm going to put it inside my box and just kind of, you know what, let me see if I can do it here with you guys. Just kind of do some spots. Sometimes I go where the rust is. I'm gonna try to aim for the darker spots. It doesn't always work like that, but you know, you can try. Okay, that's really all I want. A little touch just to kind of, you know, give it that aged look. And I love it. I really just love the results of this. Let's do this one. I mean, it's almost nothing. It's like just a little spray. This can be a little more challenging because of the shape, but I'm just put it up there and I just did the butterfly. And that is that. I am going to let them dry and then show you what they look like. In the meantime, I want to just mention that we are literally a handful of subscribers from 200. I know my channel has been a little bit neglected over the last few months, and I am really working hard to come back and have steady content in it. And I would like to celebrate when we get to our 200 subscriber mark, like we did for the first 100. And so I would love for you to, you know, like, share, comment if you're finding the content helpful and you're inspired. It's the best way to share what we do and continue to build in the community. So I would so appreciate that if you can do that. It means everything to me when you are here and you are watching and you are inspired and you're trying your version of, you know, what I'm doing here, or something totally different, but that it's inspired by what we are sharing. I love creating. It is my passion. And I have found this community to be just such a source of life and creativity and joy. And I am so happy to be here. And I love it when you are here with me. I will be doing a 200 subscriber giveaway when we hit that mark, which could be, you know, it could be days, it could be weeks. I believe what I'm going to do is a stash of ephemera. I love doing that, and I love mask making, and I've been working on some new stuff, so I have some nice little stashes of that. I also have stuff for sale on my Ko-Fi. The link is here. On my channel, I will be featuring more of my journals. I still have about 20 something journals in addition to the handful that are in the store right now. I will be doing that as well. And as always, I so appreciate your support. So we have a little bit of shine in some places because of that spray adhesive. Not throughout. And again, that is completely optional. If you opt to not do the spray adhesive, you'll have a matte finish, which is also beautiful. Okay. Look at that texture. Oh, I just love that. I love that. And our butterfly. Gorgeous. I am very happy with everything that we made today. I love the finished look. I am so happy that you were here with me. Hopefully it was a quick enough little make that can be very satisfying, very messy, but it can give you really beautiful results. I hope that you try it, and if you do, of course, I would like to see it. As always, I am so grateful that you spent this time with me, and as I said, I hope that you are well, that you are thriving, that you are safe, that you are healthy, and that you know that I love you so much. And I hope that you are getting in some crafty time and creative time during what can be a very busy time of year. And I hope that you are here with me again next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video, tell your friends. I would love to grow the community, and I look forward to my next subscriber giveaway, which is just a few people away. Thank you so much for being here with me today, guys. I love you so much, and I will see you soon.